You don't make her miss you by disappearing. You make her miss you by leaving something behind. Not your scent, not your words, but a feeling she can't quite name. It starts with something small, a quiet pause in a conversation, a teasing smile that lingers a second too long, the way your voice softens when you say her name. You think those moments vanish when you walk away, but they don't. They stay. They echo. I still remember how she looked at me when I teased her coffee order. "Extra sugar again?" I joked, and she rolled her eyes, laughing in that way that told me she wasn't really offended. "Some things are meant to be sweet," she said. It was nothing, just a moment. But days later I found myself remembering that look. Not because of the coffee, but because of what that look carried. Warmth, playfulness, and something deeper I didn't catch at the time. That's when I realized, people don't miss your presence. They miss the emotion you made them feel. They miss the version of themselves that existed when they were with you. She doesn't replay the facts. She replays the feelings. The tone of your laughter, the quiet between your sentences, the look that said more than your words ever could. Presence isn't about being there. It's about what stays when you're gone. You don't need to vanish to be missed. You need to leave traces, emotional fingerprints that stay long after your shadow fades. Because memory doesn't store people, it stores energy. It stores tension, emotion, curiosity. And when she thinks of you late at night, it's not your face she remembers. It's the way her heart felt when you were near. The silence after your voice. The laugh that came too easily. The feeling she can't recreate with anyone else. What she misses isn't you. It's the echo you left. The brain doesn't miss people. It replays feelings. It doesn't crave faces or voices. It craves the chemical reaction tied to them. You think she's missing you? But really, she's chasing the emotion you left behind. That sudden rush of warmth when you laughed. The spark in your eyes when you looked at her like she was the only one in the room. That's what loops in her mind. I remember the day we sat by the window of that small cafe, rain tapping gently against the glass. She took a sip of her coffee and made that familiar face, the one that said it was too bitter, but she'd drink it anyway. I leaned in and said, "Still pretending to like it?" She laughed, shaking her head. "I'm pretending to like you," she said softly, eyes glinting. It was a 5-second exchange, but 5 seconds that her brain and mine refused to let go of. That's the thing about emotional echoes. They're not born in long conversations or deep confessions. They're born in those micro moments when time pauses just enough to let a feeling sink in. A hand brushing against hers. A joke that hits deeper than expected. A look that lasts a beat too long. That's where attraction takes root. Not in words, but in feelings that attach themselves to your presence. The mind records emotions like photographs, but it develops them later in your absence. She won't remember what you said word for word, but she'll remember how your voice made her chest tighten. She won't recall the details of your jokes, but she'll remember how she laughed without thinking. That's the replay. That's the echo. Attraction isn't built in hours of talking. It's built in seconds that feel like forever. And when those moments end, her mind does what it's designed to do. It replays the feeling until it becomes a memory she can't shake. Her mind doesn't crave information. It craves the unknown. You think she wants to know everything about you, every thought, every plan, every detail of your day. But she doesn't. What she truly wants is the space to wonder. The moment. You fill every silence, explain every action, and reveal every emotion. You take away the one thing that keeps her thinking about you. Curiosity. Back in university, there was this girl who always tried to read me like a book. She'd ask, "What are you up to tonight?" I'd smile and say, "You'll see." Just 3 words, but they carried a weight that silence never could. She'd tilt her head, trying to guess. Was it something important? Something about her? The more she tried to figure me out, the deeper she fell into the loop of curiosity I'd left open. Mystery isn't about playing games or being distant. It's about creating small spaces her mind can fill with her own imagination. When you don't give her the full picture, she paints one herself. And in that painting, you always look a little more interesting, a little more unpredictable. People don't obsess over what they know. They obsess over what they almost know. Weeks later, she confessed something. "It's weird," she said. "You were never constantly around, but you were always in my head. I kept wondering what you were doing, who you were with, what you were thinking." That's when it clicked. Mystery wasn't silence. It was the quiet rhythm between what's said and what's left unsaid. The mind hates unfinished business. It loops, replays, fills in the blanks until it finds closure. But when you master the art of leaving just enough space, not too much, not too little, she keeps you alive in her imagination. And that's where desire grows strongest. Not in your presence, but in the gaps you leave behind. You don't have to be unforgettable. You just have to link yourself to a feeling she'll never want to lose. Most people chase attention, but the real secret is to become the trigger of an emotion she treasures. Not through grand gestures or expensive dates, but through small, powerful moments that feel alive even when you're gone. It was one of those late summer nights, quiet, warm, and careless. I remember calling her out of nowhere and saying, "Be ready in 10 minutes. I'm kidnapping you." She laughed, thinking I was joking. But 10 minutes later, she was in my car, still half confused, half smiling. We didn't go anywhere fancy, just an old ice cream place on the corner, the kind with flickering streetlights and mismatched chairs. But something about that night, the cold sweetness, the streetlight glow, the way our laughter echoed into the dark, it became an anchor. You see, our brains don't store people as data. They store emotions as experiences. When joy or excitement hits, the subconscious links it to the person who was there. That's why months later, when she texted, "I drove past that ice cream place and thought of you." It wasn't about me. It was about how she felt that night. The taste of vanilla, the sound of laughter, the way the world felt weightless. I was simply the face attached to the feeling. That's the secret. You don't have to be constantly present in her life. You just need to be emotionally coded into her memories. Every time she revisits that emotion, she revisits you. So stop trying to be unforgettable through effort. Be unforgettable through emotion. Anchor yourself not in her mind, but in her heartbeat. Because long after she forgets your words, your plans, your jokes, she'll still remember how it felt to be around you. And that's what keeps you alive in her memory. Scarcity isn't silence, it's self-respect. Most men think pulling away means ignoring her, but that's not scarcity. Real scarcity is living a life so full, so self-driven, that your presence becomes a privilege, not a constant. It's not about games, and it's about gravity. When you stop orbiting around her attention, something changes. You stop being predictable. You stop being safe. And that's when she starts to notice the space you've left. I remember the moment it clicked for me. She once said, "You're sweet, but I don't think about you when you're not around." It hit harder than I expected. For days I kept checking my phone, hoping she'd text first. But she didn't, and I realized I had built my worth on her validation. So I did something different. I stopped explaining my silence. I stopped sending paragraphs. I filled my time with my own life. Workouts, books, moments that reminded me who I was before her. At first, it felt like losing her. Then it felt like finding myself. My texts became fewer, my responses slower. Not because I was trying to manipulate her, but because I was genuinely busy living. And that's when it happened. One night, my phone buzzed. Her name again. Then another message. A double text.
"Hey, you've been quiet lately."
Are you okay?
That's the paradox of scarcity. The less you try to prove your worth, the more it shines through. You become rare, and rarity commands attention. When you stop offering your energy freely, the world, and she, starts wondering where it went. Real scarcity isn't about making her miss you. It's about making yourself too valuable to be taken for granted. Because once your peace becomes your priority, your absence starts speaking louder than your words ever could. The most powerful attraction is the one that never fully closes. You think closure ends pain, but it also kills curiosity, and curiosity is the pulse of desire. The human mind hates unfinished stories. It replays them, trying to find the missing piece, the final word, the reason why. And that's where the secret lies. You don't have to make her miss you with distance. You make her miss you with mystery. It's in the little things. A half-told story, a glance that means something she can't quite decode. You might say, "Remind me to tell you why I stopped flying from Madrid," then smile and change the subject. Or when she asks, "What's on your mind?" you answer softly, not ready to say yet. Those moments don't frustrate her. They fascinate her. You've just created an emotional loop, a thread her mind can't stop tugging. There are open loops everywhere. The unfinished story, the almost confession, the unsent message, the smile before a goodbye. Each one is a small echo of incompletion, and that incompletion is what her mind replays in silence. Because the truth is, longing isn't about the person. It's about the gap. That missing piece becomes your shadow, following her through the day, whispering that there's something left unsaid. You are not haunting her. Her curiosity is. Every time she remembers your words, she feels that tension again. It's like an itch in the brain that memory alone can't scratch, and the more she tries to find closure, the deeper she falls into the loop you left behind. That's the art most men never understand. You don't need to chase her attention. You just need to leave one thread undone. Because attraction doesn't die when you walk away. It lingers in what you didn't say, in what you almost revealed. You are the unfinished thought she can't stop replaying. The pause that becomes louder than the sentence. The story she keeps waiting to hear the end of. And that's how you stay. Not in her arms, but in her mind. You can't force her to think of you, but you can design the memory she never forgets. Most people believe being missed is luck or timing, but it's not. It's design. It's the subtle architecture of emotion, the way you build moments, the pauses you leave, the curiosity you awaken. Every look, every silence, every unfinished word becomes a note in a melody that plays long after you're gone. Think back to it all. The emotional echoes, the mystery gap, the anchored laughter, the quiet scarcity, the unfinished thread. These aren't tricks. They're the blueprint of emotional gravity. When used with intention, they create something that lingers beyond logic. She doesn't miss the man. She misses the feeling he created, the emotional world he built inside her. That's what keeps her coming back, not to him, but to the reflection of how she felt when he was around. There's a quiet power in not needing to be remembered, yet being impossible to forget. The man who chases attention gets silence. The man who embodies presence leaves an echo. It's not about withholding. It's about knowing that mystery, depth, and emotional self-control are what make you magnetic. Because when you stop trying to prove your worth, your absence starts speaking for you. In the end, it's not distance that makes her miss you. It's meaning. She'll remember the way you listened, the way you didn't rush to explain, the way you left conversations open, like doorways to possibility. And when she replays them in her mind, she'll feel that familiar ache, the one that says, "He's gone, but not forgotten." So stop chasing. Start designing. Let your silence carry weight. Let your memories do the speaking. Because true connection isn't loud. It's felt in the quiet moments when your presence is nowhere to be found, yet somehow, everywhere. If this resonated with you, dive deeper. Learn how to build attraction through silence and presence. The link is in the description.